Hi there, I'm Sarah Hall, and this is your new moon total solar eclipse reading with spiritual guidance for July 2nd through 15th, 2019. That's right, eclipse season has officially started. Now, what's the big deal about eclipses anyway, you might be wondering? Well, eclipse energy is particularly strong, bringing a powerful emphasis to the overall cosmic energy that's around the Earth. You can think of them almost like a portal for exponential growth and change. This eclipse represents the beginning of a brand new 6-month cycle in which the spiritual lessons, discoveries, or manifestations you seed now will be with you throughout the rest of 2019. And I have great news for you. According to the angels, this particular new moon solar eclipse in Cancer is bringing a very healing energy with it. Deep in the human shadow, or we could say the ego part of us, the part that experiences challenges. We all carry the imprints of the traumas or the major challenges that have helped define our perspectives, our sensitivities, and overall well-being as individuals. This solar eclipse is plunging us deep into awareness of the shadow side of life. It's like life will be handing you mirrors to help you see deep inside of yourself. Oftentimes, these mirrors appear in the form of the people in your life. According to the angels, your relationships are now delivering powerful messages, lessons, and opportunities to rise to new levels of well-being and awareness. Facing and perhaps even cleansing the shadow can oftentimes be rather intense. However, according to the angels, this is taking you in an incredibly positive direction. Remember, your soul is manifesting these experiences that you're attracting now because this is just what you need to evolve in your purpose as a conscious spiritual being on this earth. Among the themes and lessons you might see arise during this moon cycle are opportunities to bond in deep intimacy with those you love. Remember, as we established before, penetrating deep into the self or into another person's psyche and spiritual essence isn't always a comfortable, easy experience, but it is a powerfully transformational and yes, perhaps even beautiful one at the same time. Trust where these opportunities to be vulnerable, open, intimate, and authentic with yourself and others lead you right now. Another theme of this energy current is good health. For any of you who have been praying about yours or a loved one's health, the current energy we're in is such that healing interventions, recovery, and physical nurturing are rushed to your side. Pay attention to any new information or opportunities that the universe hands you at this time with regard to your physical health. And trust the opportunities to grow and take ownership and responsibility for your emotional health as well. The angels are working with you tirelessly to help you manifest your highest good. They understand that the journey to cultivating and sustaining that good, again, isn't always easy for us, and that it often takes us outside of our comfort zones. But remember, such are the birthing pangs of the destiny you are praying for and asking of yourself. Results require change, and though change isn't always easy, it ultimately always holds the opportunity to be good for us, depending on how we choose to respond to it. Yet another theme of the current energy is that of honor and integrity. If you find yourself attracting experiences in which you are able to gaze into a mirror that helps you understand and know yourself better, ask if what you see aligns with your ultimate ideals and values, with what you want. When you make yourself a vibrational match for what you value and want to have fulfilled in your life, you live in a state of authenticity, integrity, and self-honoring. I'm hearing Archangel Michael also add that if you look into the mirror and see any areas in life in which you had unconsciously been betraying yourself. For example, you want to write a book, but you just seem to keep procrastinating. Or you want to get healthy, but you struggle to stick to a healthy routine. Then this is your opportunity to forgive yourself and ask your heart, ask the wise presence of God that resides in you, what steps can I take to be true to myself? This is your opportunity to become more conscious, to take responsibility for what I want to experience and who I want to be will help me grow. How can I do that, God self? How may I take better care of myself? The angels assure you that the negotiations that you may find yourself engaging in within your relationship with yourself and with others, and with your relationship with the world, have a high potential to result in peace and fulfillment. You can make your dreams come true. Yes, say the angels, you can have it all. But it is through the path of patience, self-work, high standards of authenticity, responsibility, and devoted commitment that you will get there. Enjoy that journey. For the option to enjoy it, according to the angels, and thereby experience your soul's expansion, is always with you. And hey, for the moments on your journey when you're not enjoying it, that's okay too. You are loved, accepted, and understood unconditionally by the higher forces of this universe. And everything is working out perfectly for you and for all in the grand scheme of things. And the angels thank you for co-creating in this dance of life. Let's go to our cards to gain further guidance. Today I am working with the Archetype cards, one of my favorite decks by Caroline Myss. Our first card is the Hermit. The Hermit. What the Hermit represents is the journey in life, the part of the journey in life, wherein we retreat deeply into ourselves, wherein we work to create silence and stillness in our outer world as much as we can, so that we can listen to the magic of what's happening in here, so that we can get to know ourselves. Archetypally, when it comes to the stories we human beings have told in cultures all over, the Hermit seems to represent for us the wise person. The Hermit is seen as someone you go and you climb that mountain to find that wise man in the cave to get the guidance from them. Or the wise old crone who lives at the edge of the woods who knows about healing. This card comes to signify that you are adapting to your healing power in such a way where you are going to be owning it. You have the power to own it. You have the power to become and embody your potential for wisdom. However, the angels are assuring us that this is something that is likely going to take a journey to get there. And you're on that journey now. You're at the part of the journey of the Hermit wherein you go and you face your inner dragons. You go and you know, like Jesus retreating in the desert for 40 days, face the symbolic, metaphorical devil kind of thing, or, you know, again, the shadow side of the self, and see what are the ways in which it is holding me back, and can I rise above it? Can I transcend it? Can I meditate my way through this? Can I commit and devote to myself enough at this time in my life that I'm willing to really look at myself? That's what the Hermit embodies. So get ready for that to be one of the big first themes that comes through this moon cycle. And certainly, you know, support that. Create space around being the Hermit if you need to take a little bit more time to yourself. absolutely do so. Or simply take more time to journal or meditate. That's all very good for you right now. Let's go to our second card. We have the Scribe. The Scribe. The Scribe represents someone who has a vocation, meaning a deep commitment, like a spiritually called commitment to discover knowledge and truth and to preserve it, to reflect it out into the world. And what your angels want you to know right now is that many of you listening have a life purpose involved in communicating with the world in some way, in being the storytellers or the keepers of knowledge that will help to nourish the collective human soul, the overculture. Furthermore, that journaling, writing, and doing things to express what you find in your hermitage will help you to understand those things better, right? We oftentimes need some kind of an outlet or a practice in order to give words or meaning or structured understanding to the things that we might find in our deep psyche or down in our shadow. So your angels are telling you that right now, a very helpful practice for you in this path of self-discovery that we are on right now, setting the tone again for the next 6 months, big life lessons here, is to spend some time expressing yourself, whether it's expressing yourself with a therapist or a healer, whether it is, again, as we said, journaling, writing, creatively perhaps even, whether it's painting, drawing, dancing, anything that gets you to express the emotions so that you can see them and know them. So while we've got the energy of the Hermit saying, go within, go within, go within, retreat, 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 we have on the other side of that the Scribe, which is in a way the opposite energy, but perfectly complementary, because it's the energy that's expressing out. And in expressing out, that is the other way that we get at finding the information of what's inside of us at this deeper soul level. So practice a little bit of both in balance, and you'll know which of those two you need at which time. If you just get really good at practicing listening to yourself and asking yourself, your heart, what do I need? It'll tell you. Our third and final card is the Slave card. The Slave. Now, I know that hearing the word slave for all of us listening is immediately a word, an idea that brings about negative concepts, right? This is a card that essentially represents issues around empowerment. So what Spirit has helped us to do, and through Law of Attraction giving us this card, this message for this reading right now, is to tell us that there are issues that you are discovering or resolving that are likely going to be specifically centered upon issues of empowerment. So as you work to listen to your heart, to discover which is what is inside your deep psyche, and especially to face traumas that are in there, it is time to get very honest with yourself in facing in which ways do I seem to allow myself to be trapped in life or to operate under the false assumption that I'm disempowered, because really no one's disempowered. You've got choice. We all have. And once you get honest with those things, once you bring the shadow into the light, meaning once you bring what is unconscious into your awareness, your conscious awareness, that instantaneously already means that it's not pulling the puppet strings and controlling you from behind the scenes. That instantaneously starts the healing process. So engage with those parts of you. And then to continue the healing process, the angels remind you to forgive yourself for anything that you see, to forgive the patterns of disempowerment that have been there and anyone else that was involved in them in the past. And then to love yourself and to accept yourself and to endeavor to love and forgive the world and this great human family. that we are all a part of. And to remember as well as you face disempowerment, because it's, forgiveness isn't always easy for us, but the angels want you to know when you face issues of disempowerment and any hurt that comes along that, whether you were a victim of something or whether you're holding yourself back, remember that the negative things that people do, that they act out on, whether they're seemingly minor things or whether they're, horrific things, are all things that come about as a result of us crying out for more love. They come as a result of there being traumas and pain and victimhood that is unresolved inside the heart. That doesn't excuse abusive behavior by any means, of course. But to understand it that way, that every moment in which there is something violent or negative or unfair, unjust, it is a crying out for love. Whether you observe that in a personal kind of a situation in your life, in your relationships, or whether you're looking at the collective world wherein it is possible to hurt one another, to wage wars and such. There is a crying out for love on this planet, and that condition is actually one of the crucial things that your soul took into account when it chose to live a human lifetime and to fashion its devoted commitment to a life purpose. So, the slave card really represents empowerment. And if we were to try to look to the opposite side of what that archetype of the slave represents and say, okay, it's obviously would be associated as a very shadow thing, as a very awful thing. If we look at the opposite side of it, there's this concept inherent in it that kind of represents, well, if I'm going to surrender to anything in terms of power, surrender it to God, surrender it to the universe, surrender it to the highest forces that are, or trust that harmony, do a trust fall into the universe. And in so doing, you become not disempowered, but more empowered because you join up with the power, with the power that is behind everything, with the power that is the source of your entire existence. So empowerment is your purpose and is the tone that is being set as we embark upon eclipse season and upon this new leg of the journey over the next 6 months of life, or maybe even more. Maybe even these lessons will color you for life. And if so, beautiful. Just remember to love yourself every step of the way. Thank you for tuning in. It is my honor always to be with you. And as always, if you'd like to connect further or work with me personally on your healing path, you can visit my website, sarahhall.com, and keep in touch with me on social media, where I give you lots of tips to support you throughout your week. All the links for that you'll find in the description below. Do know until we meet again that you are so loved and so, so very blessed. Bye.